Good morning show right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. My name is Will Sutton, and here with me is Mason Harrison.
Yes, good
Thank you,
morning.
thank you for coming in.
You are welcome.
Yeah, so you, I would say, slithering along the sidewalk and walking up the steps, and I was like, "Look at this cool brother," and then I realized like it was you. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I mean, what
so that changed
people?
your assessment?
No. I mean, it's just that people have different walks, and you have a cool walk.
Oh, okay.
That's the point of that.
Well, I've
That
been told otherwise, but thank you.
Well,
Well, I've been told it's very distinctive, and I'm not
well,
quite sure what that means.
okay. Well, I guess that would be in the eyes of the beholder.
That is true.
And now that you say that, I guess I could see how some other people might think otherwise.
Uh-huh.
But I found it cool.
Yeah. I've been told I know that I recognize that walk anywhere.
Right.
So I thought, okay, well, so much for being in disguise and trying to escape the authorities if they can recognize my gait so readily.
Yeah. Right.
Speaking of which, there are cameras in the People's Republic of China reportedly that are designed to recognize people's gait.
I've read about that before.
So
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. This whole camera and AI thing has
Mhm.
moved along.
Speaking of
Quite
which, the French
quickly.
Quarter Management District has approved, I think the city council has to sign off on it, but they want to purchase a number of drones to
Yes.
be used in the 8th District. So
Yes.
folks may fall on either side of that issue and feel differently. But since we're speaking about cameras and surveillance, this is another level of surveillance in our city. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm all for surveillance. Um, the problem is that what I'd like to see is balanced and legitimate surveillance.
Okay.
So here's what I mean by that. There's enough research out there that shows that black folk like us, and some other people of color, the cameras aren't detecting and seeing the same things as they do with white people.
Hmm.
And I think that's a problem when you're using the same equipment, the same technology, and reaching different conclusions through technology as opposed to your own observation. I like my own observations, and then let me put it in context. Hopefully, we're open enough to see some things, and like your walk. I found it cool.
Hmm.
Somebody else might find it strange
Hmm.
or distinctive, lanky,
Hmm.
or things like that. But does that mean you're a criminal? No, especially with my perspective of looking at it as cool, as opposed to getting too distinctive and going in the other direction just based on your gait
Hmm.
through a camera. That's a problem. I'm not saying other human beings who don't have as much melanin can't have distinctive or cool walks. They could, but that type of uh, uh, having the cameras, the technology think for us does bother us, does bother me. But I also look at things like finding the first escapee from the jail in the
Hmm.
French Quarter by camera. First of all, he shouldn't have gone to the French Quarter, okay? But that's another set of issues. And then we could look at all the background of why was he in there, and all of that kind of thing. But let's just say that based on the current laws and break it out, and you're not supposed to do that. And but it appears that nobody who saw him thought that there was anything wrong. Maybe passersby might have thought, "Why are you ducking behind a car?"
Hmm.
But of course, if you've been in the French Quarter, people duck behind lots of things for different reasons. And so, but the camera was able to detect that this was somebody
Through facial
through
recognition.
facial recognition.
So are you
So
okay with the facial recognition technology that's been deployed and Project NOLA's cooperation with law enforcement?
I think there's a place for that. I do. and I'm looking at us continue to work at that to refine it as much as possible. I don't think we're going to refine it without push about it.
So do you
You know,
think, so should it be ad hoc? Okay, so there's a number of escapees. Let's turn on the facial recognition apparatus, or should it just be on?
right? Which is my understanding of what happens in some major markets in China. It's just on.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
would you be comfortable
it's
with
just
that?
on. I'm not there yet.
Okay. All right.
I'm not there yet. I can't remember the name of the movie, but
Minority Report,
yeah,
where you
Minority
walk into the
Report. Yeah,
store
right.
and it recognizes you.
Yeah,
Welcome, Mr. Sutton.
yeah,
How was your pair of slacks that you purchased 3 weeks ago?
right.
Right. So you would not be comfortable with that level of surveillance and recognition.
Not at this point.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, not at this point. Now, I don't mind to use digital as an example. Looks like you like this type of shirt, and you think it's cool. That's fine. I mean, narrow down some things, and maybe I don't have time to go. I don't want to make time to go, and I'll make my decision, and I'll keep scrolling by. There was something just in the last few days. It's like kept coming up, kept coming up. It's like I ain't interested in this.
Mhm.
So you can put it in my face all you want, but I am not interested in this. So
Do you recall the story from a few years ago? A young woman was making purchases at Target, and based upon the nature of the purchases, Target sent her information, congratulating her on her pregnancy and uh, offering more products to buy for an
mm,
expecting mother.
hmm
Her father got wind of this, became very irate, went to the store, berated the manager, but it turns out the young woman was indeed pregnant. So, unbeknownst to him, obviously. So, what about that level of sort of, I'll call it corporate surveillance or aggregating our data? How do you feel about that?
well, the again, the aggregating the data for me is one thing, but that's the thing where I have concern because this aggregated data, uh, where is it being shared, with whom, how often, and where is it being sold?
Correct.
Because just because I didn't take the bait, so to speak, on the product that was being shown to me over the last few days, somebody in 24 hours, 48 hours, a week may buy that data, and it's like, but I didn't even click yes. So now I'm in a pool with people because the intelligence thinks I might be interested.
One
So
of
I
the
have some issues
ways
with that.
One of the ways to avoid that is making purchases via cash. But of course, there's a nascent push to do away with cash and to create central bank digital currencies. How do you feel about that? So there would be no cash. Everything would be on the blockchain. Everything is traceable. All purchases um, are the knowledge of whoever the currency issuer is. I guess in this case, the federal government. I mean, what do you make about that?
Well, funny you mention that. I went somewhere just recently and I pulled out my wallet and I pulled out cash.
Hmm.
And the woman said, "Oh, no, no cash here." I was like, "Well, it's only this much, whatever. Yeah, small purchase, under $10 or something." It's like, "It's only $10. You don't have change for this?" No. I'm like, wow. And then another piece, personal experience. uh, My uncle Peter gave me a coin holder that I've had for decades. I've misplaced it recently, and it bothers me because it's a love connection for me. But I still carry change,
Hmm.
and so a number of people who see me pulling out change is like, "What are you doing with that?" Well, it's my money.
Right.
So I have not made the transition to
All digital.
all digital
Okay.
at this point. I appreciate the benefits. I have concerns, but I just recently I just saw a sign on a store about the store having fewer pennies
Right.
because they've stopped production,
Correct.
and that they're going to round in
Hmm.
the customer's favor.
I no longer receive pennies when I get change at the
Yeah.
store. So they either short me or they give me more than what I'm owed
Right, right, yeah.
because
So
of that.
interesting development. That was
Hmm.
my first encounter with a penny sign.
Hmm.
Haven't seen many of those, but that's another part of digital revolution and getting rid of change and dollars.
Correct.
So, all right, well, let's take a break. It is 7:11 a.m. I'm Will Sutton. I'm here in conversation with Mason Harrison, and we'd love to hear from you as well. We're going to have a good show today, and when we come back after the break, we're going to talk about more news and information. And one of the things that's happened, we talked about yesterday, was at first it was a rumor that the Frederick Douglass High School and the John F. Kennedy High School might be merged. And before the show was ended, the KIPP New Orleans confirmed that they are pursuing the best for the students and the schools. They didn't say merger. But after the show, they confirmed there is a merger. So we'll talk about that for sure. 7:12 a.m. And Mason, how can they join in on the conversation?
You can reach us at 504-582-9422. Do you want to weigh in on the Kennedy-Douglas merger, or talk to us about whether or not you use cash, or are you all digital? Give us a call at 504-582-9422.
This is WBOK, 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Today, officials with the Sewerage and Water Board are scheduled to appear before the City Council. And this comes as Mayor Helena Moreno weighs in on the board's 6-step plan to fix pipe problems plaguing New Orleans. The new plan calls for urgent repairs at high-risk water mains and assessing the condition of old ones. The city has seen half a dozen water main breaks so far this year. The Sewerage and Water Board says some projects, like replacing 34 miles of older mains, could cost up to $680 million. Testimony continues today in the Stage Rex trial after a special agent spent hours on the stand yesterday. Vanessa Mata and Jason Giles are both accused of staging car accidents to collect insurance money. Gas prices continue to surge this morning due to the strikes in Iran. AAA reports a gallon of regular gas now averages $3.79. That's up 7 cents from Monday. And our state, the average price is $3.44. And a major race will soon bring women from all over the country to New Orleans. City leaders say the Every Woman's Marathon, hosted by Team Milk, is coming to the Crescent City. The more than 26-mile course will allow participants to qualify for the Boston Marathon. It was secured in partnership with the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. The race is set to happen in February of next year, with the course starting in the CBD and ending in City Park, with chocolate milk as runners cross the finish line. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK.
Hello, friend. Tavis Smiley here with a special announcement. You can catch my show at a new time, weekdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Same great topics, same great guests, same great conversations, just a little earlier in the day. It's Tavis Smiley, weekdays 1 to 4 p.m. only on WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
To the Good Morning Show. For those of you who have been tuned in to us since 7:01, 7:03, 7:11, or whenever you tuned in, and welcome to those of you who are just tuning in now. My name's Will Sutton, and with me is Mason Harrison. We were having a good conversation about, I don't even know if I can call it tender anymore.
Oh, Yeah, well, it's certainly legal tender,
Yeah,
right? That would be
yeah,
appropriate.
yeah.
But it's
Is crypto tender?
um you would call that a private currency.
Yeah. So
And I think that it's important to draw a distinction between money and currency, right?
yeah,
So money actually
right.
has intrinsic value.
Yeah.
So if you and I were to use gold as a medium of exchange, that is actually money. The US
Yeah.
dollar is fiat currency.
Yeah.
So it, in fact, is not money. We describe it as such, but it is not.
Lots of things to get used to as the world continues to
Hmm.
change, and as your exchanges and currency and money takes different forms. And of course, a number of people tipped into crypto, and some people really like it, and so they went more heavy in that. I'm not there yet, but
Yeah, I
I'm
think
reading about it.
so. One of the things we talked about yesterday was developing parallel systems of power,
Hmm.
right? And de-dollarization, as many countries have done around the world, or in the process of doing, I should say. And I think that's something that we should be doing as a community as well, internationally, developing our own system of currency until such time we create a world where there is no money. And this will address a lot of the wealth issues that we see in our community, right? If you don't have access to the government fiat currency, then it's time to build your own system of currency, right? So that we can have an independent medium of exchange and wealth acquisition.
But we're probably a little ways away from that.
No, you could do that tomorrow.
I mean, no, I mean in terms of a world where there is no
Oh,
money.
that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And in the meantime, I'm not sure I see as many people using, say, crypto only or gold only, or even a mix of gold and crypto for, say, a house purchase.
Well, all one has to do is to create the marketplace for it,
Yes,
right?
and that's clearly what's happened with crypto.
And that's what the US dollar is, right? So the reason why, and we talked about this yesterday, right? About taxation and what are our tax dollars used for. But
Mhm.
this idea that there's such a thing as public money or tax dollars is actually a misunderstanding of how the system of currency works. So fiat currency is produced by the government,
Mhm.
and then it is then taxed, right, to create a demand for the currency without which there is no demand, and to remove a certain portion of it from circulation in order to control inflation. That's it.
Yeah.
So and the demand is created through the petrodollar system, right? Otherwise, there's not nearly as much demand for the US dollar. Everyone needs oil to fund and fuel their economies. And so if oil is mostly sold in dollars, that creates a demand for the currency and it props up the value of the US dollar. And so if we want to create our own system of currency and then create demand for it, then we have to sell goods and services in that independent currency. That then creates the demand for it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm trying to imagine regular daily purchases
Hmm.
without dollars or change or debit cards or credit cards.
Well, you would
and,
have to
you
have, I
know,
mean, crypto is electronic. It's on a
yeah,
blockchain. So you'd have to have a card of some sort.
right.
But the most important factor is whether or not there's a demand for it. And that's why the
Right.
value of Bitcoin continues to increase because there is a demand for it.
Mhm.
Now, it is unstable. And so, therefore, what you have to do is create you have to create a system of stability. And that's why there are these things called stable coins that, in theory at least, don't see the types of fluctuations that you see with currencies like Bitcoin and other alternative cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Well, it's brave new world continues to change, and if you're not paying attention, pay attention. I haven't made the cross into things like crypto, but I'm watching it, reading it, talking to friends who are in there, talking to friends who are investors,
You can
and
buy
all.
Bitcoin
So
for as little as $5 a week.
you can. Yep. Yep. Indeed. Indeed. So look, it's 7:20 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 7:30. You got about 10 minutes, and I hope you will get there safely. Give a chance for our babies and kiddos to get to their workplaces where they are getting education. Education, fundamental to a good, strong future, and we want them to be able to make it to school. No injuries, please. Drive yourself safely to wherever you have to go. And please, please, please watch out for the babies and kiddos. Be paying attention to that 20 miles per hour school zone speed limit in effect until 9 a.m. It's 7:21. Take a break, and when we come back, we'll have someone talking to us about insurance. That's our expectation. So we'll see where we'll rock and roll. Mason, what's that number?
Give us a call at 504-582-9422. That's 504-582-9422.
This is WBOK, 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another cold to chilly first half of the day. Then afternoon highs reached 63 to 66. Warmer than yesterday, but still below average. Partly cloudy skies are expected. Then tonight, mostly clear, lows 43 to 51. Mostly sunny for Thursday and warmer. Highs 73 to 76 and then upper 70s to low 80s by Friday on into the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Norman Robinson is back.
Can you hear me now?
And he's taking no prisoners.
Can you hear me now?
Each weekday, Norman Robinson brings you commentary with Off the Top.
The incident was shocking, disturbing, disgusting, disappointing, and sad.
Each weekday, Off the Top with Norman Robinson is heard exclusively right here.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 12:30 a.m.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Greetings and salutations. I am Elwood B. Coulon Smith, chairman of the board of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to invite you to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon on WBOK to listen in on Black to Business and be a part of the movement that's going on. Thank you.
Well, Saints of God, this is Pastor David Impartan Sr. coming to you over the airways of WBOK, your favorite host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want to invite you to our show every Saturday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. That's Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want you to invite your family and friends to a broadcast that's designed to change your life, the way you think, the way you act, and what you eat. We want you to tune in every Saturday at 1 o'clock, WBOK, 12:30 a.m. See you on Saturday.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome to the Good Morning Show. I'm Will Sutton. With me is Mason Harrison. Good convo about digital and notes and tenders and currency. Lots of good stuff to dive into there. And perhaps we'll do more of that at another point. But right now, we're going to jump into conversation with Keelan Parker from Magnolia Wealth. And he's going to be talking with us about insurance, financial planning, and kind of the package of things that we should be thinking about. I know from personal experience for myself and for my family that there are different ages and stages when you look at different things. So unless I'm wrong, Mr. Parker, it doesn't mean a 23-year-old with the first or second job should jump out there and think that they have to buy all of these different things to have a good life.
Correct.
But it certainly makes a difference if you've got a partner or a spouse, and makes makes a difference if you've got kids. Makes a difference if you know you have a predetermined disease that might not be fatal, but kind of preparing for those things. So, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys for having me. And yeah, excited to kind of get into this segment, talk a little bit.
So let's help our WBOK family of listeners learn a little bit about Mr. Parker.
Okay. So a little bit
who's your mama now?
So I'm from Plaquemines Parish, born and raised West Bank. But yeah, went to Belle Chase High School, went to Dartmouth College, played collegiate football out there.
What position?
I play running back.
All right.
Running back. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I graduated in 2020, had another stint out in Albany, and I've been doing this the last 4 years. So this month makes 4 years since I've been a financial planner.
Very good. Very good. Well, great. So set the stage for us and talk to us about what is a financial planner. Is that the same thing as a financial advisor? Kind of help us with some of those terms.
Okay.
And then we can learn some more.
Okay. So the two terms aren't necessarily synonymous, but when it comes to what a financial planner actually does, they look at all the facets of your financial life, from estate planning, retirement planning, wealth building, insurances as well. It all kind of folds in together, but trying to come up with one cohesive plan. And if that means incorporating your estate planning attorney or your accountant, so be it. But just trying to get one cohesive plan in place for not only you, but also other folks in your family. So if something were to happen, they have it all kind of written out in one place.
So why do you consider insurance foundational? Because, a lot of people have different kinds of views about insurance and how much, why am I paying all this money? Aunt Sally paid insurance all the time, and the funeral came. She didn't have enough money. I mean, that kind of thing.
Right. So when it comes to your financial plan, I like to think of it like a house, right? At its base, insurance is just risk mitigation, but before you start to go into investments and into wealth accumulation, all the things that people deem, cool and interesting, you got to lay that foundation. So that's one of the four main pillars, the others being making sure you have a good handle on your high interest debt. They can eat away at your liquidity, making sure you have a good handle on your budget. Also making sure you have a rainy day fund, right? 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up, and then where life insurance or insurance in general kind of fits in. It really serves more so as risk mitigation, right? If something were to happen, is there to serve the purpose as a fill-in almost.
So what is the difference then between burial insurance and life insurance? And if you are a single without dependents, do you need either?
So the difference between burial and life, it's one and the same, right? I mean, you have some people call life insurance mortgage protection. Some people may call it, just term insurance, general term insurance. But at its base, it's to cover any expenses that you have in the event that you pass away early. Now, if you don't have any dependents, how I mentioned it'll fit into that foundation. Well, the structure of the house is investments. The roof of the house is preservation. So it'll more so serve as in that preservation piece to preserve your assets. So if something were to happen, the burial policy would pay out to where you can have a smooth transition from one generation to the next in terms of your assets. Now that it has to be incorporated into a will and trust as well, which suggests working with a professional. But that's kind of how it fits in and how it's relevant.
Demographically, what does it look like when it comes to people who are insured in our part of the country? Are there certain groups that are more insured than others?
Yes. So, I feel that our demographic is underinsured by and large, but the biggest way or the easiest way to have access to it would be through your benefits, right? That's kind of a passive, cheap way to get access to life insurance, because dollar for dollar, it's going to be the cheapest coverage you're going to have. So even if you don't have a personal policy, then having a work policy would be advantageous for you.
So you're talking about employers that offer insurance as a part of employment. It might be a base of insurance of $3,000-$5,000, and then they offer, or you can get a higher level for 8 cents a week,
right?
Or you can get a higher level for $20 a month, and then it goes up with the value, that type of thing.
Yeah, that type of thing. So I mean, usually they'll offer so many multiples of your salary, right? For term insurance, 20, 30 years. For younger folks, that's great. For older folks, it's also great because it's going to be cheaper, and typically you're not going to have to go through underwriting. But you always want to have something supplemental in the case that you leave your employer.
So why then might someone need a financial planner? Is it not just enough to do some research, to have a savings account, to put my investments through Acorns or something like that? What is the benefit of having someone whose expertise is managing finances?
And I'll follow up on that because I saw a story yesterday. Hadn't even thought about this. It's March Madness, and this guy was using AI to fill out his card for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And asking AI these questions and historically this and that, and came up with what he was going to use. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
So based on all types of predictions in several different categories, and it's like he didn't go ask someone. He did that. Now he had knowledge about sports and basketball, but people can go online and ask AI.
Yeah.
What about insurance? What about financial planning?
Right.
But you say what?
So what I say to that is, it's like anything, right? I mean, we're in the information era, right? So you're getting a lot of. Before it was hard to access a lot of this information. Now, I mean, at the click of a button, you can get a ton of different information. Social media, family members in the break room at lunch. But I always tell folks, just because what's good for the goose isn't always good for the gander. So what I mean by that is, you can be getting information that isn't necessarily applicable to your current situation. So working with a professional will allow you to kind of align those priorities to say, hey, you're a early stage professional. Maybe you don't need to be worrying about X, Y, and Z. Let's start off with this foundational stuff. So a lot of times I find that people kind of jump the gun on certain things priority-wise, where it's like, let's take care of the basics first and then try and jump into more complex things. Now, financial planners aren't necessarily necessary for everyone, but making sure that, if somebody dotting the I's and crossing the T's in terms of that foundation and getting those habits in place are important. Now, once you start, getting significant assets or having estate problems, that's where it does become more relevant to have a financial planner or a professional on board.
So when it comes to investing, at one point it was standard to say that if you were 40 years old, then you would need, you should invest in 40% bonds and 60% stock. Is that outdated? Has that changed? How does cryptocurrency or gold and silver play into an investment strategy?
So when it comes to investments in general, there's no kind of
formula.
Yeah, formula or cookie cutter. It's really going to be more so about your own personal risk tolerance.
Okay.
So the amount of risk that you can personally tolerate, one aspect is going to be your age or time horizon. So how soon will you need said monies in said account, whether it be an investment account, a savings account. But the other kind of piece of that would be your own personal risk tolerance. So, I mean, when it comes to asset classes, you just have to look at, okay, am I okay with the potential loss that I may receive in this asset class, right? So if it's speculative or it's more risky, you just have to be okay that whatever this percentage that I'm allocating towards this this sector or this asset class, I'm okay with that. And that's where consulting with a financial planner could be more relevant, because depending on who you're talking to, they'll tell you different things.
So two things. The market fluctuates, but we're often told to don't look at the daily fluctuations, to maintain your investments, and over time, the market always goes up. So my question is, how do you advise people who may have a 401k and then one day they see that it's down, and how do they weather that emotionally? And then two, well, let's just start there. Yeah,
start there. Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of weathering the storm, when it comes to accounts, right, you have to keep in mind each account is going to have a different purpose, right? So if you have a retirement a retirement account, the point is for retirement, that 59.5 provision. So if you're in your 40s, right, you have about anywhere between 10 to 15 years before you even have to touch that money. So again, that main kind of pillar in risk tolerance is time horizon. So you have the time horizon for that to bounce back. So I wouldn't suggest looking at any long-term investments daily because it doesn't make sense, right? You can't touch your 401k every day. It's set for a certain point. Now, with that being said, there are some passive options that employers offer, like target date funds that naturally kind of wean you off of risk. Like 2030 target date fund, 2035. So those will naturally wean you off risk. So if you just want a passive kind of set it and forget it every, first and the 15th, have X amount going in, that's the easiest way to do it, right?
So let's talk about interest rates. So there's always talk in the news, the Fed will raise interest rates, the Fed will lower interest rates. Explain to our audience, what are interest rates and how do they affect your savings account, the rate that you pay on your mortgage, things of that nature?
So interest rates are really going. So whenever you're talking about investments, is more so. It depends on the company that you're investing in, right? So, say you have a return on investment 10%, it's going to be directly correlated to the said company, right? But if you're talking about interest rates, in terms of mortgages. Or in terms of, mortgages, that's more so going to be that's going to be influenced by the Fed, right? So we really have no bearing on that, but, that's why it's good to keep an eye out on policy and stuff like that. But, we have no bearing on that. You can really just keep an eye on it. And if you need to refinance certain debts, do so. But, that's what I'd say on that.
Okay, so let's talk about the decades of age. So you said the formulas that we have regularly heard across our lifetimes aren't necessarily set in stone for each individual, that you look at your own individual risk tolerance. But generally speaking, if somebody's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, where do you see that it's really basic and fundamental to get in to certain markets, get out of certain markets, and how often should, let's say somebody comes to you, we've heard about you on WBOK, we like what you said, we like your approach, we want to do business with you, and so they have a pot. They want to make it bigger. You all consult. You make recommendations. They say, let's go in this direction. Should they call you every week?
No. Like, if you like to call, I talk to some clients pretty often, fairly often. But when it comes to planning, we always structure it as, okay, starting off where you're at now, and then what your goals are, short term, midterm, long term. In terms of, how to put priority to those goals, it's going to be case by case, right? So, if you have some immediate pressing goals when we do the initial consultation, we're probably going to be talking more often on those. But if you have things that are like, hey, I'm 40, I want to retire at 65, set me in the right trajectory, right? So if we're talking about 25-year time horizon, we're not going to be talking every week, because whatever those funds that are going towards that long-term investment, it's really not going to be necessary to talk every month or every week, right? So it just depends on what the goals are. If you have a wedding coming up in 2 years and you're trying to put away a bonus and maximize it, right? We're not going to put that at risk, but we are going to put in something to get some growth on it.
All right, let's use those ages, 40 and 65.
Okay, 40 and 65.
Okay? So this 40-year-old has a partner, spouse, a couple of kids.
Okay.
Is in good health.
Okay.
Probably can work beyond 65.
Mm-hmm.
But just thinking, I think I want to stop at 65.
Okay.
What are the types? What's the difference for that 40-year-old versus a 40-year-old single person who loves love and but hasn't found the right person or enjoys being single? And how much should each of those people look forward to having to retire at 65? Sometimes people hear about investments and they hear 500,000, 750,000, a million. You get to million, and then people are afraid. And it's like, that's a lot of money, $1.5 million, $2 million. How comfortable do you want to be? What's your answer?
So what I would say to that is, and it's kind of like a common theme, it just depends, right? It depends on where you're at. It depends on your cost of living. It depends on if you plan to inherit anything. But I will say, if you do have dependents, if you do have a family, right, and you anticipate them needing you 40 years old is not uncommon to have a younger family.
Yeah.
You definitely want to start up. You're going to need a stronger foundation. You have more folks depending on you as opposed to if you are a single individual. Now, if you're a single individual, it's not uncommon for you to amass assets or more assets because you have the same amount of income coming in and you have less going towards dependents. Those people typically have real estate, more investments. If you plan on passing that on, now you have to focus more so on the estate planning side of it as opposed to the foundation or the preservation, right? You don't have to protect as many people or plan for as many people, right? It's just you. But if it's just you and you have, assets, real estate, you want to have a good plan to pass it on or donate it, philanthropic efforts, whatever it may be, you want to get it in order early.
Okay, so somebody wants to retire at 65 or even 70. Generally speaking, without them coming from a pass-it-down wealthy family, how much should they have in investments?
So I'm not going to give you a dollar amount, but they should definitely have enough to cover basic expenses and then any additional lifestyle expenses, whether it be traveling or donations. And the reason I'm not giving you a number is because inflation, right? So I can't project out how much you'll need. I have software that we use for that.
Sure.
Yeah, but I can't project out, hey, this is how much, because $1 in 2010 isn't worth the same as it's worth now, right? Much less, talk about 40 to 65, much less if you're 40 now, in 2050, right, the same dollar isn't going to be able to buy you as much. But if you do set that trajectory in the right path, it'll set you up to be in a better place, right? During the time when it is time for you to retire. So,
okay.
So, Kaylin, we know that on average it costs about $250,000 to raise a child, and that's if that child doesn't have special needs, is not in sports or things of this nature. So given that it's at least $250,000 per child,
right,
is having children a good investment strategy?
So that's a trick. That's a trick question. That's true. So I know a lot of folks they approach their children as, doing air quotes here, investments, but it can be seen as a front loaded investment, right? Because you're putting a lot in and you have no idea what's going to come out the other end, right? At least with the market, hey, the last 30 years, this is the track record. With a kid, it's kind of like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen, right? So, again, if we're talking about in terms of investments, that would be more of a speculative investment. You don't really know how a child will come out. But, yeah, I'm just joking there. But with kids, I would say it definitely, it's not a burden, but it's just more of a responsibility, both financially and, just financially. As you said, $250,000, that's not, that's nothing to shake a stick at.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you definitely have to do proactive planning. So some of those younger families, late 30s, early 30s, whenever you plan on having a child, plan for it, right? So it's different accounts that you can have in place that will help you set them up, right? kind of
So baby bonds were once really popular, and there are some attempts to make a comeback. I mean, what do you think about that in terms of investing for your child's future, or how to set aside funds for college?
So I would say, really since 2020, 2019, bonds haven't really been performing
Okay.
the way that they normally have. So the safest bet would probably be some sort of mutual fund
Okay.
in a UTMA, so
Okay.
in a brokerage account.
Okay.
Yeah, and just make sure that now when I'm talking about accounts again, it's time horizon and risk tolerance. So your own personal risk tolerance, but your time horizon is going to be if you're starting from when they're born, right? You have about 22 decades, right? So you have some time to kind of stomach some risk there. But yeah, I would say UTMA is probably the best way to
And,
go.
and an UTMA is
Uniform transfer to minors account.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So basically, what it is, you started when they're minor. You, as the parent or the guardian, you have ownership of it all the way to 18.
Okay.
18, it automatically transfer over, but you don't necessarily have to tell them, hey, you have this account, so, or like,
Okay.
for example, for me, my grandmother, she started one with her advisor at Chase when I don't know what age I was, but I know when I graduated, I had X amount for expenses,
Okay.
right? And then anything that was lanyap or extra, I pretty much kept it in there, and that's what got me started on investments.
Okay. Very good.
Great. So, in this wacky world that we're living in, it's 2026. In 2025, as a financial planner, you couldn't have predicted some of the things we're going through right now. So that's one of the things that often scares people. You're making this decision. You're working with a financial planner. You're planning for the future. 6 months later, the nation is at war, and this certainly has an impact on the economy, and not just gassing up at the gas station. People are looking at the markets in a different way. So, how do you calm the fears, or be realistic about this and say, hold on, or how do we position ourselves financially without thinking financially?
So one of the main sentiments that I preach to clients is to be proactive as opposed to reactive, because when it comes to current events, right, and things that are going on, you can never predict what's going to happen, right? But if in the plan, especially as we lay that foundation, you give yourself some cushion, right? You're not kind of pushing it all the way to that. Like, for example, in budgeting, I always recommend 50% towards wants, 30% towards needs, 20% towards savings and debts, right? So in that example, I always say that that's the maximum, right? So you don't want to push it all the way to that max, but if you set yourself some cushion within your plan and planning on things not going according to plan, it gives you grace in the times of when there's more tightness in general, right? And rising costs at the gas pump, like you mentioned. So as long as you're following the plan, right? I think that it provides more structure, right? It's not going to give you the direct or the exact path, but it'll give you more structure and something to kind of follow in good times or bad.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be taking a break. We thank you for coming in to be with us and our WBOK family of listeners. How can people learn more about you, what you do, can they contact you?
Yeah. So I'm easily reachable, right? I'm local. Best way to contact me would be either via social media. I'm on LinkedIn, Kaylin Parker, CAYLIN Parker, or at my email as well, cparker@financialguide, GUIDE.com, and yeah, phone number is 504-613-2161. So easily reachable, multiple platforms, and always open to serve and help folks, get their financial situations in order.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at the Good Morning Show on WBOK. A lot of good information about financial planning and different ways to look at things at different ages and stages, and how to look at things for the long term, looking beyond what we're experiencing right now in this nation and in this world. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I think we'll dig into this Douglas High School, Kennedy High School development. There's more information today than there was during yesterday's show. Mason, if somebody wants to be at a part of that conversation, what can they do?
They can give us a call at 504-582-9422. That's 504-582-9422. And good morning to Lena Fairley, listening to us all the way from the Windy City.
Hey, all right. I love it. This is WBOK, 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityInvestments.com. Lion Forge Entertainment is an Academy Award-winning Black-owned film studio that focuses on diverse stories. The company is working on several new projects aimed at younger audiences, and Lion Forge founder and CEO David Stewart II says you might be surprised where he's seeing opportunities with Gen Z.
In some ways, some of this stuff is actually kind of coming full circle. I was just circulating with our team some articles that have just come out around Gen Z going back to the movies, and that's their new interest point right now. So yes, YouTube is growing, and a lot of eyeballs are going there to kind of find content, but they want to go to the movies because they want this unique experience that they haven't really had, because they've had the screens in front of them all the time. They've had that on-demand content. So, it's interesting how things are kind of coming full circle.
Lion Forge Entertainment won its Oscar for short film Hair Love, a story about a black father learning to style his daughter's hair for the first time. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Want consistent color for every job? Milo's Pro Rewards members get a 20% paint discount on future purchases after paint annual qualifying spend reaches $3,000. Plus, order eligible in-stock paint and paint supplies by 2 p.m. for free same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Improving is easy at Lowe's. Excludes spray paint and mist tints. More exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Subject to change. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Same-day delivery valid in select zip codes. Subject to driver availability. Details at Lowe's.com/same-day delivery.
This is Monica Pierre along with Sally Ann Roberts Daybone, co-host of Your Power is On.
Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. for music that feeds the spirit. Get your Sunday on.
Right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. and WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to all day long.
Transform your bathroom with the beautiful quality of Bath Planet. As a trusted leader in bathroom renovation, Bath Planet has earned the Good Housekeeping seal, a symbol of quality and consumer confidence for over 100 years. Get half off installation or 18 months with no interest and no payments. Whether it's tub replacement, a shower replacement, or a tub-to-shower conversion, Bath Planet makes your custom bath fast, easy, and affordable. Here's how it works. 1. Call to schedule your free, no-obligation consultation. 2. Our design experts come to you with real samples to customize your dream bath. 3. Our certified installers complete the transformation in as little as 1 day. And right now, for a limited time, you can upgrade your bathroom for 50% off installation or choose 18 months with no interest and no payments. But you need to call now. This special offer is only available by calling 800-981-8177. That's 800-981-8177. Call 800-981-8177 right now before the offer ends.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton. Losing a loved one is tough enough. Do you really want your family dealing with court battles and paperwork on top of it?
Whether you choose a will or a trust, think ahead. Take care of your family. Let them focus on healing instead of headaches. This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityInvestments.com. Lion Forge Entertainment is an Academy Award-winning Black-owned film studio that focuses on diverse stories. The company is working on several new projects aimed at younger audiences, and Lion Forge founder and CEO David Stewart II says you might be surprised where he's seeing opportunities with Gen Z.
In some ways, some of this stuff is actually kind of coming full circle. I was just circulating with our team some articles that have just come out around Gen Z going back to the movies, and that's their new interest point right now. So yes, YouTube is growing, and a lot of eyeballs are going there to kind of find content, but they want to go to the movies because they want this unique experience that they haven't really had, because they've had the screens in front of them all the time. They've had that on-demand content. So, it's interesting how things are kind of coming full circle.
Lion Forge Entertainment won its Oscar for short film Hair Love, a story about a black father learning to style his daughter's hair for the first time. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Want consistent color for every job? Milo's Pro Rewards members get a 20% paint discount on future purchases after paint annual qualifying spend reaches $3,000. Plus, order eligible in-stock paint and paint supplies by 2 p.m. for free same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Improving is easy at Lowe's. Excludes spray paint and mist tints. More exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Subject to change. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Same-day delivery valid in select zip codes. Subject to driver availability. Details at Lowe's.com/same-day delivery.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK. WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
Here's what's trending this hour. Gas prices remain on the rise. The national average for a gallon of regular has climbed to $3.84 according to AAA. That's up from $3.79 on Tuesday. A week ago, the national average was right around $3.57. In California, where prices are the highest in the country, drivers are paying $5.56 a gallon on average. Washington State and Hawaii now also have statewide averages above $5. I'm Bree Wood with What's Trending.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm Will Sutton, and with me is Mason Harrison. Good conversation about financial planning and the aspects of that. A lot of things that we should think about and consider, and one of those is to consider, as Mason asked, why should somebody consider a financial plan.
Yeah.
You know, so not for everybody, but if you want some guidance that gets you closer to your specific risk area, other than ChatGPT or other AI, somebody like Mr. Parker. Hey, we're jumping into conversation right now with Debbie Venny, founder and CEO of Agency Inc., and she is going to be talking with us about why some public school students are earning an A more often within 10 years, and looking at a national survey, looking at how Generation Z has performed. Good morning, Ms. Venny. You're on with Will Sutton and Mason Harrison. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you, gentlemen?
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So, did I say that last name correctly?
Venny, I believe is what you said.
Venny? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, good. Let's jump into this. So you've been studying and researching this, and tell us what you have found.
Well, what I have found, particularly in New Orleans, I'm really glad we're able to talk, is that New Orleans, which has almost all charter schools in its repertoire of offerings of public schools, is outpacing the national average in terms of how your kids are performing. Now, nationally, we saw that charter schools in general were producing better life outcomes for young adults within the first 10 years of graduation. And the numbers were pretty astounding, about $22,000 more in salary on average per year for a charter alum nationally. And in New Orleans, with you guys having so many charter schools, I was just curious, like, what does it look like to be almost all charter schools? And you guys are crushing it. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. So we had pre-Katrina. That's a important measurement, not the only measurement, but an important measurement of time in our area. Pre-Katrina, we had about 65,000 to 70,000 students. These days, we're somewhere in the 40 to 45,000. So we have had a population decline. Matter of fact, one of the stories we were talking about today and this week is the merging of two high schools. So there's one high school that is A-rated, another high school that's C-rated. One has the older facilities, which is A-rated. One has the newer facilities, which is C-rated. And so there's going to be a merger between the two and to the one C school with the newer facility. So that's one way that we're having to deal with populations as the student enrollment declines. And, of course, there's a lot that goes along with that. And our one non-charter school is Laird Chase School, and it faced closing, but it survived with some huge donations and contributions. So tell us more about what you're seeing. I mean, how do we compare with other school districts? And do you see any school districts that are all charter, nearly all charter, that are doing better than New Orleans? And what about schools that are not charter? School districts that are not charter. Do you see any of this success there?
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is we're actually looking more at people who are already out of school. So we're looking at young adults and looking at their life outcomes in terms of salary, employment, post-secondary, degree attainment, home ownership. And there have been tons of studies, and they're great, that look at how kids perform while they're in school. So test scores, grad rates, and the rest of it, and that is very important stuff. But we actually want to shift the narrative and look a little bit out and say if these schools have done a good job, then people should be thriving within the first 10 years of graduating high school. Young adulthood should look strong.
Okay.
And when in New Orleans, young adulthood looks strong. And it's interesting because we have so many charter schools. We saw the same thing looking nationally when we looked at places. Let's take a place like, let's take Washington State. So a very different place than New Orleans. And they have relatively few charter schools as compared to what you would see in New Orleans. So statewide, you've only got about 16 total charter schools, and they're serving like under 5,000 kids. But get this, when you compare those charter kids to the district alums looking 10 years out, on average, a kid in Washington State is making $44,000 more a year than a kid who went to a district-run school. On average, homeownership, just within the first 7 years of graduation, is almost 50%, which is crazy high, compared to just 18% for their counterparts who went to district-run schools.
So, Debbie, I just want to read off some of the findings from your report, which is called Turning the Tassel: What Gen Z Says About Life After High School Graduation. And this is a national survey that examines how Gen Z is faring in the first decade after high school. So according to their findings in your report, young adults are most likely to work in a sector that is shrinking, and that includes customer service or retail. Young adults are largely unaligned with any particular political party. 24% are registered Democrats, 24% Republicans, and 43% are independents. They're more likely to be registered to vote than the national average, but are less likely to have voted. They are more likely to complete post-secondary degrees at each level of degree attainment. So that's associate degree, a bachelor's, or a graduate degree. They are 10 percentage points higher than the national average when it comes to home ownership rates, and that gap is even larger in states like Washington, Texas, and Florida. And charter school graduates are closing the racial achievement gap when it comes to degree attainment. And as you said, those who identify as Black, Latino, Hawaiian, or Pacific Islander, or Native American earn nearly $55,000 more per year as a result of their charter school education. So my question to you is, why do you think charters, according to your report, are making the difference? And if you don't mind, how did you fund this research? Was it paid for by any charter management organizations?
Oh, okay. Let's start with that first. Let's start with your last question first. This was independently paid for by my company. So my company does strategic communications. We do a fee-for-service model. So when we raise dollars, we're able to then reinvest them back into the community and doing important work and research like this. So it is self-funded research.
Okay.
Okay. Then I want to get at some of the other questions that you asked. So why do I think that this is happening for charter students? I think it's a multitude of things that kind of add up together. So number one, when you have kids that are more likely to be on track to qualify for higher paying positions, and charter school students are, that's one of the things that we checked in the report. So being able to get into the STEM careers, or which science, technology, engineering, and math, or being able to get into more of a professional track as opposed to customer service, which, as you mentioned, is a shrinking sector, or being able to get into education or healthcare. Those are all growing sectors. When you put them on a path towards that, they're more likely to be employed. They're more likely to make higher salaries. And also, when we know that there's higher post-secondary degree attainment, that automatically often links to higher lifetime earnings for folks. These things all kind of coming together help to create the trajectory that you see. And then we also know that there's some interesting points about preparation. So when we look at what happens within that K-12 setting, we see that charter kids are more likely to go to a school that said, hey, I think you can do it. Even if you're the first in your family, I believe you can break barriers. I think that you've got what it takes. They're more likely to have access to career opportunities even when they're in school. And all these things come together and really help to create the trajectory that you're seeing.
So, Debbie, last question for you. In New Orleans, there's been a lot of angst over charter schools self-selecting their students, right? So traditional public schools have to take all comers, where some public charter schools are able to select the best and the brightest, so to speak. Could that result be skewing some of the data that you find in this report?
Well, that would be illegal. So if you know of some places that are charter schools that are self-selecting their students, you should call me and we should talk about that, because as public schools, they're not allowed to select the kids that come to their door. They literally have to take every kid, and if the school is oversubscribed by law, they have to go to a lottery.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Debbie.
Well, wish we had more time to talk about this because charters are a big issue in New Orleans for a number of reasons, and people feel very strongly about it, pro, con, or a school distance, walking distance to a school, and which charters are doing better than others, and certainly when it comes to ratings, because there are charter schools that are D and F schools, and there are charters that are A, B, and C schools. So big issue here in New Orleans. So thank you very much, Debbie Vinny, for joining us this morning. How can people reach out to you, read the report, and reach out to you and your team?
Thank you so much for having me. The report can be found at agencyworks.org/research. And I am Debbie Vini. You can certainly find me on my LinkedIn profile at Debbie Vini. That's spelled V-E-N like Nancy, E-Y. And I'd love to continue engaging with anyone who'd like to talk more about this really interesting report and this really interesting topic.
All right. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us. It's 8:11 a.m. Folks, we're going to be taking a break. Lord's blessings, Debbie. Have a great day. It's 8:12 now. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, let's run at least one news story, I think, about the merging of two important high schools, and we'll talk some more about that. And we have more coming up for you in what's left of the Good Morning Show before the Front Porch comes on. If you'd like to be a part of this conversation, Mason, how can they do that?
They can reach us at 504-582-9422. That's 504-582-9422.
This is WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Today, officials with the Sewerage and Water Board are scheduled to appear before the City Council. And this comes as Mayor Helena Moreno weighs in on the board's 6-step plan to fix pipe problems plaguing New Orleans. The new plan calls for urgent repairs at high-risk water mains and assessing the condition of old ones. The city has seen half a dozen water main breaks so far this year. The Sewerage and Water Board says some projects, like replacing 34 miles of older mains, could cost up to $680 million. Testimony continues today in the Stage Rex trial after a special agent spent hours on the stand yesterday. Vanessa Mata and Jason Giles are both accused of staging car accidents to collect insurance money. Gas prices continue to surge this morning due to the strikes in Iran. AAA reports a gallon of regular gas now averages $3.79. That's up 7 cents from Monday. In our state, the average price is $3.44. And a major race will soon bring women from all over the country to New Orleans. City leaders say the Every Woman's Marathon, hosted by Team Milk, is coming to the Crescent City. The more than 26-mile course will allow participants to qualify for the Boston Marathon. It was secured in partnership with the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. The race is set to happen in February of next year, with the course starting in the CBD and ending in City Park, with chocolate milk as runners cross the finish line. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK.
Hi, I'm Leo Jackson, host of Sunday Gospel here every Sunday morning, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 12 o'clock till 2 p.m. You don't want to miss this move of God. It happens only on WBOK. You listen to all day long.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm Will Sutton. I'm here with Mason Harrison. Good, interesting conversation about the success of students 10 years out after graduating and the impact of charter schools here and elsewhere. Wish we had more time. That's a fascinating study. I'd like to take a look at that and learn some more. But in the meanwhile, we are going to take a look at, speaking of charter schools, the Frederick Douglass High School and John F. Kennedy High School are definitely going to be merged. And here's a news story from our friends over at WWL Louisiana. We don't have that at this moment. So the summary is that the school district and KIPP New Orleans has confirmed that New Orleans John F. Kennedy High School and Frederick Douglass High School will merge operations next year, and that merger will be at the Kennedy's Gentilly campus. So they made that official yesterday. Apparently, it actually was made official last week when the KIPP's board of directors voted to combine the schools, and the rationale included rising costs, major repairs to Douglass, which is on St. Claude Avenue, and the declining citywide enrollment, leading to school closures across the district. So we know we're going to see more school closures because we got fewer students. So it's a matter of which schools, which names, those types of things. Let's hear the WWL report about this.
Just months after celebrating its A rating, Frederick A. Douglass High School is set to merge its operations with John F. Kennedy High School, which received a C rating, starting this fall.
It was a hard, pill to swallow.
In a letter to parents, the school's principal cited declining enrollment, funding, and a building that is crumbling as some of the reasons behind the decision. One parent shared her daughter's disappointment while waiting for her ninth grader to be dismissed.
She was sad. I heard her on the phone with her friends, and they were kind of upset about the situation.
An online search shows more than 650 students are enrolled in Frederick Douglass. The letter to parents says all teachers will move to JFK for the 2026 school year, and there is an available seat for all current Douglass students. The Douglass school system has gone through a slew of changes from names and locations since Hurricane Katrina. In 2020, it took back its Douglass identity. Recent academic success brought the school hope for the future.
All the strides I feel like the school has made to make it a better school, I feel like, the merger will be like taking a step down.
In that same letter to parents, the school's principal told Douglass families that a public meeting will be held this Thursday. Reporting on St. Claude Avenue, I'm Winston Reed, WWL, Louisiana.
Okay, so there you have it. We are merging yet another school, losing one name, and merging into another prominent name, John F. Kennedy High School. The Douglass School, just keep in mind, has been an A-rated school. And one of the things that's happening with this merger is that the principal of the Douglass School, Tawana Pierre Floyd, will lead the combined school at the Kennedy facility. We've got a caller on the line. Good morning, Alicia. You're on with Will Sutton and Mason Harrison.
Good morning, guys. I am so disgusted and fired up about what's going on with our schools.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you don't have a senior high school in the lower ninth ward. Now you're not going to have a senior high school in the upper nine. You're closing down schools in New Orleans East. Why is it this is not affecting any of those white schools uptown? And for that person to come on just now and say what's illegal, we all know the overwhelming majority of the children, the white kids, are in the better schools. Now come back and do a research study on that, Miss Viney, Vinny, whatever her name is.
Right.
I am so sick of it. And these parents, Y'all got to help us fight for y'all. Y'all got to help us. That school board is sitting up there and not doing the job like the other 63 other parishes are doing. Get rid of all of them. And we need to get rid of these charters. Charters has not done us any good. The Louisiana Legislative Auditors have said it's a failed experiment. Just because you took the words experiment out does not make it better. We gotta stop this. And the prison system for our children, the justice system for our children has exploded since the charters. I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. And we need to protest or do what we have to do to stop this nonsense because it's only affecting children who look like me. And I don't like it at all.
Well, Ms. Alicia, of course, you are not alone with that. Let me ask you one question about this merger that is going to happen. The Douglas name versus the Kennedy name. How do you feel about that?
I don't feel any better of either which way they do it because I don't like what's being done, period.
Okay.
I don't like none of it. So don't pick one of certain things and say, oh, is it going to be like they did Landry and Walker?
Yep.
Is it going to be John F. Kennedy? Is it going to be, I was about to say Nichols. That was my district school, but I went to 35.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. These are our children whose lives we affected, but they don't care because it's our children. And people need to step up. Parents need to step up and fight.
All right. Well, thank you very much. The Lord's blessings, and we're going to hear from Reverend Calhoun next. Thank you, Miss Alicia. Lord's blessings. Have a great day. Okay, we've got Reverend Calhoun on the line. Reverend Calhoun, you're on with Will Sutton and Mason Harrison.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'd just like to know then, so the plan seems to be that if you're a D school, we're going to close you. If you're A school, we're going to merge you. It seems that's the way the direction is going. I'm still concerned about what's going to happen at the elementary level. Because for you to get any type of rating at the high school level, you got to look at the kids that's coming from the elementary level. So the elementary schools that has D's and F's and that, are those schools going to be closed? I'd just like to really have somebody explain just what is the pattern or what is how we're going to move forward. So parents can start preparing as to where their children will go. Because I think the disruption, when you have to tell a child that they're going to close their school or move their school or whatever is going to happen to the school, has a definite impact on community. So my question is just simple. Is there a plan now? What is going to be the plan, I should say, for the elementary level? Since we're using schools that have not failed to be closed. I don't know. I'm just asking some questions, Will.
I got you. So one of the things that makes me wonder is the Orleans Parish School Board is not putting in place this merger. It's the KIPP New Orleans Charter Management Organization. But the school board has signaled to these organizations that more schools have to close or be merged. Do you think it'd be any better if the Orleans Parish School Board said which schools will close and merge because that will happen, or allowing the charter management operators to consider the options and make those decisions?
I think that the community should have some input way before they're telling us what has been already decided. There is no community input into what's going on. It seems that the decisions are made and we are informed of what decisions are being made. Now, I was told a long time ago that the Frederick Douglass buildings had some issues, and they needed to fix those issues and all of that. But again, I think that we got to start academically looking at where is the failure truly happening at. Is it happening at the elementary level? And is the elementary level in jeopardy of closure or consolidation based on what's going on there. Because the kids, if they're not getting it at the elementary level, then how can they be prepared to deal with it at the high school level? So I think that our school board, our community, all needs to be at the table to have a real conversation about where we are and not just being informed of decisions that other people are making on our children.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Reverend Calhoun. Lord's blessings. Have a great day. Great comments. Appreciate
All right, gentlemen. Y'all enjoy
the
rest of this day.
All right, great. All right. So we're going to have to go to break now. And when we come back, we'll be talking with Dr. Flint Mitchell, Deputy Director of Community Engagement, Performance, and, yes, Equity for the New Orleans Health Department. So looking forward to that conversation. It is 8:27 a.m., and this is WBOK. You can join the conversation as Alicia did, as Reverend Calhoun did. And Mason, how can they do that?
They can do so by reaching us at 504-582-9422. And good morning to Chuck Hunt, listening to us all the way from Monroe, Louisiana.
Monroe. Good morning, Chuck. Good morning, my man. I hope you're doing well. Good to hear you're alive and kicking. Good to hear you're tuned in. Man knows a lot of stuff. This is WBOK, 12:30 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another cold to chilly first half of the day. Then afternoon highs reached 63 to 66. Warmer than yesterday, but still below average. Partly cloudy skies are expected. Then tonight, mostly clear, lows 43 to 51. Mostly sunny for Thursday and warmer, highs 73 to 76, and then upper 70s to low 80s by Friday on into the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Hey, this is Steve Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 12:30 a.m. every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m., bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South, right here on WBOK 1230 AM or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Transform your bathroom with the beautiful quality of Bath Planet. As a trusted leader in bathroom renovation, Bath Planet has earned the Good Housekeeping Seal, a symbol of quality and consumer confidence for over 100 years. Get half off installation or 18 months with no interest and no payments. Whether it's tub replacement, a shower replacement, or a tub-to-shower conversion, Bath Planet makes your custom bath fast, easy, and affordable. Here's how it works. 1. Call to schedule your free, no-obligation consultation. 2. Our design experts come to you with real samples to customize your dream bath. 3. Our certified installers complete the transformation in as little as 1 day. And right now, for a limited time, you can upgrade your bathroom for 50% off installation or choose 18 months with no interest and no payments. But you need to call now. This special offer is only available by calling 800-981-8177. That's 800-981-8177. Call 800-981-8177 right now before the offer ends.
Greetings and salutations. I am Elwood B. Coulon Smith, chairman of the board of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to invite you to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon on WBOK to listen in on Black to Business and be a part of the movement that's going on. Thank you.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. It's 8:31 a.m. If you got somewhere to be at 8:30, of course, you are late. So just take your time and get to where you need to be safely. And watch out for our babies and our kiddos who are trying to get to school. There's still some who might be on their way. School zone speed limits are 20 miles per hour, not 24. Not 27 and certainly not 41. So slow down. Make sure you get where you're going and make sure they get where they need to be this morning. Again, school zone speed limits in effect until 9 a.m. I'm Will Sutton. I'm here with Mason Harrison. And good couple of calls weighing in on charters generally and a challenge to Ms. Vinny to take a closer look.
Yeah, I plan to read that report, and I think that it is deserving of a longer segment and a deeper exploration as to what it means to have become nearly an all-charter system. And certainly there are detractors and advocates that continue to, shape this debate. But, from where I'm standing, none of it's adequate, but we've had this discussion in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. That's ongoing. All right, right now we're going to jump into conversation with Dr. Flint Mitchell, Deputy Director for Community Engagement, Performance, and Equity. That's a mouthful.
It is.
Big task.
Can you fit all that on a business card?
With the New Orleans Health Department, and he's going to talk with us about his work, the work of that part of the health department, why the community's involvement is important for this work. I think there are not a lot of us who knew there was community engagement, performance, and equity. But apparently this work has been going on, and things are changing with Dr. Flint Mitchell there. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Good. So we'd like to find out a little bit about our guests on the Good Morning Show. So who your mama in them? Well, who are your people? Where'd you go to school? Tell us a little bit.
I love this question. I'm originally from Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Okay.
I've been in New Orleans 21 of the last 26 years, so I lived here. Around 2000, 2004, I left, and I came back in 2009, and I've been here since.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So how long have you been with the New Orleans Health Department, and how long have you been responsible for this effort?
I've been with the New Orleans Health Department, which we've recently rebranded as the New Orleans Health and Human Services Department.
That's
as you can
true.
see from my logo,
Yep.
but we haven't caught up with all the branding just yet. But I've been with the department about 11 months now.
Okay. Tell us about community engagement, performance, and equity. What does that fit with health and now human services? What does our WBOK family of listeners need to know?
I appreciate this opportunity, first of all, for being here, right? Because we want to get this message out to let people know that our health department is evolving, right? About 20, 25 years ago, public health started to be more responsive and less reactive. And with that movement came lots of white papers and new research and associations developing. And in that process, we saw a need for accreditation for health departments, local, county, state, to be accredited. We also, at the same time, saw a necessary movement around improving performance. So there's a body of the work that we call performance management and quality improvement. And also with this accreditation piece, one thing that health departments have to do is either what's called a community health assessment and a community health improvement plan, or at the state level, a state health assessment and a state health improvement plan. And so we're doing that work, right? This helps us to achieve accreditation, in our case, to achieve reaccreditation. At the same time, health equity as a concept was evolving. It's been around since the 60s. The more formal definition that we use came about in about 2003 that has something to do with policy and measurement. But people often hear this idea of health equity and understand it. In fact, one of my first kind of earlier understandings of equity was presented to me by Dr. Francis years ago. But nevertheless, when we talk about health equity, this is an outcome, something that we want to achieve, which means that everyone has, or there's a situation where everyone has exactly what they need to be healthy as possible. And so all three of these things start to come together over time. Health departments evolve, or they're evolving to have these departments. As I mentioned on the break to you, it's not necessarily a nascent function, but these functions have been going along since I've been at the health department. Part of my job and part of my role is to more formalize this within my office and to make sure that these functions are carried out in the health department for the betterment of the people's health.
So the health department has initiated a community health assessment, which it does every 5 years. This started earlier this month. Tell our listeners about that and how can they ensure that their data is included in this assessment?
Absolutely. Great question. It is really important that we have the community voice. And I thought about this because I figured you would ask that specific question, right? I'm also a teacher. I'm on faculty at Tulane University, and I teach in public health and public administration, so it's very fitting, obviously, for this job. But typically a needs assessment is done. It's done by the researchers, done by the evaluators, done by the social scientists. In this particular case, this type assessment is so large, and we really like to say and like to brand it as an assessment for the community, for the people of New Orleans, and so they should be involved. The health department will shepherd along the process, but we need to hear community and voice is really important. We shouldn't be the only voice that's determining what kind of health needs we have. The people of New Orleans should be helping us to make that decision. The assessment is fairly complex, but there's certainly a big need for community voice in helping us to figure out what we want to prioritize for health in the next 5 years.
So what organizations, if any, are you partnering with to solicit data from everyday citizens?
Absolutely. We're working with the Louisiana Public Health Institute to help us, as we kind of mentioned, my office is forming, so it's still fairly small. And we have employed the help of Louisiana Public Health Institute to LPHI to help us. We call them our technical assistance provider on the work. They're also helping us to connect with other partners such as United Way, Healthcare for the Homeless, Ubuntu Village, organizations like that to help us reach special populations out in the community. There's actually too many partners to name, but in this particular effort, we have about 20 or so that we're working with. And from the last iteration of the work, we had more than 120 partners involved.
So how long will it take to complete the assessment? And at that time, what do you hope to be able to do with that data?
It's a great question as well. The process can vary. For us, we predict it'll take about a year. Once we finish that process, we move into what's called a community health improvement planning process, where we will, from the community health assessment, determine a number of priorities. Most communities, most states end up with 3 to 5 priorities. I suspect that we'll end up in that same situation. With that said, we will launch our second phase, the community health improvement process, our plan, and we will gather our partners again. We will work together to develop goals and objectives around each of those priority areas, and then we will employ strategies and attach indicators to those so that we can track our progress over the 3-year period of the community health improvement plan.
So years ago, when I was a consultant for LPHI, I recommended that they do a state of public health for the state of Louisiana, right? So an annual report, and they would have the opportunity to present that before the state legislature, whatever subcommittee or committee is tasked with public health. Is there anything similar at the local level? Now, I know that when you're done with this assessment, you'll be able to see, okay, these are the 3 or 4 priorities that we need to tackle or that we're capable of doing so, depending upon capacity and funding, things of that nature. But do we have an overall picture of what public health looks like in the city of New Orleans, and would that properly fall under your department, or would you need something like the data center to help you put together that data?
We always love to have the support of other partners as they can help to broaden our perspective. As you mentioned earlier, this process is done every 3 to 5 years or so, and so we just closed out the last process, and we are working on that report. What that'll do is to help us to understand where we are right now, and we call that, in some ways, our community status assessment.
Okay.
Trying to understand where we are. We will issue a report about that hopefully in the next couple of months, and it also coincides with where we are in the process now. We want to understand what the issues are that we're dealing with, and also that report will be able to help us message to the public what kind of improvement we made and where we still need to make improvements.
So the report then is comprehensive, but yet from that, there will be 2 or 3 or 4 priorities that the department will tackle over the next several years.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So then for people listening, right, so how does it actually work? So you're partnering with LPHI, Ubuntu Village. So is there a survey that's sent out? Do people receive direct mail? Do people receive phone calls? Is there online submissions, or are clinicians enrolled into this, asking their patients questions? How do you actually collect the data that you'll need?
That's a complicated question,
All right.
but I think that's why I'm here, right, to talk about it. We follow best practices as much as possible on the employment of the community health assessment. There's not one way to do it, but there are some recommended actions that should be taken. The current, I guess, and most popular recommendation is issued by NACCHO, and I'm of course blanking on the acronym right now. But
probably National Association of Community Health Organizations, something like
close,
that.
Yeah,
okay.
close to
all
that.
right,
Yeah.
all right.
City and county health.
Okay, city and county.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. But they put out a first best practice called MAP, mobilizing for action, planning and partnerships. And there's a new iteration of that. So this new MAP 2.0 has come out. The first MAP had 4 big assessments in it, right? And this is part of explaining the process. MAP 2.0 has consolidated those 4 assessments into 3. Those assessments are the community partner assessment, the community status assessment, and the community context assessment. Those 3 assessments make up the community health assessment, right? So the community partner assessment is our look at the partners that exist in the greater area who can help us address these problems, right? We want to know what resources are available to us, who is who will work with us to solve issues. The community status assessment is similar to what I talked about before, in that we look at big data sets from the census, from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and they help us to understand things like what are type 2 diabetes rates in the city, what are life expectancy rates in the city. And so we get that information, as well as what I think this piece that we've been doing now is the community context assessment. So we may know that we have more diabetes in one neighborhood or one zip code. We may know that life expectancy is shorter in one community, but why, right? And so this community context assessment helps us to understand, and that's really the phase that we're in now, and brings me to your final point. We have just completed a series of community meetings. We did 5 meetings over the last 2 weeks between March 3rd and March 12th. We had one in each city council district. Where we asked participants to envision what they want New Orleans to be like in 5 years. We also wanted to know what their attitudes were, what they're having struggles with, what their barriers are, what things are making health easier in New Orleans. So that's one piece of the community context assessment. The other parts are we'll do a series of interviews with public health and healthcare professionals. We'll also do some focus groups with some special populations. We were focusing on families with children, the LGBTQ community, people living with disabilities, and other special populations. And then the last piece of that is what you just mentioned, the survey. And this is what I'm really here to promote today. If you go to NOLA.com/health, you'll see on our website on the front page there a survey, which is being issued in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. The survey takes about 10 minutes to complete, and we're also collecting more of that same information. You know, what's impacting health, what's making health harder for you, what's actually making health easier for you in a number of areas. And so we'll be able to take all that data and put it all together to see what the picture is of the current status of health in New Orleans. And that way we can figure out what problems we need to address with those partners.
And that's NOLA.gov/health. And you mentioned that place matters, right? Zip codes matter. Several years ago, there was some data released that those who live in 70130 versus those who live in 70113, which, depending upon where you are within those zip codes, are really just a street apart. That's St. Charles Avenue. Live on average 30 years there's a 30-year difference, a 30-year gap between life expectancy, right?
Yes.
So into the 80s in 70130, and into the mid to late 50s in 70113. And you may not want to characterize it this way, but what are some of the I guess the healthier zip codes in the city, and where are areas that we struggle that we need assistance?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's certainly data from Place Matters and perhaps other efforts that support this. What I'm really familiar with, and of course what you mentioned, but this life expectancy disparity or inequity between white men who live in Lakeview and black men who live in Treme. And
Okay.
there's about a 30-year difference. And this gives me the perfect opportunity to talk about that concept that we mentioned earlier of health equity and why it's part of this department. This whole community health assessment, community health improvement plan, this community health improvement process is really built on this idea of health equity, right? It's the idea, again, that everyone has equal opportunity for the best health that they can. As I mentioned before, that is a goal, right? For me, it's much more important that people understand how we arrived at health inequity. How did we end up at these differences? And if I could tell a short story, what I like to explain to people is, and I think this answers your question, is that sometimes there are differences in health outcomes, meaning, some people have more disease at an earlier age. People have less disease and may live longer. People may, mothers in some communities may have more risk in childbirth and things like that. And we've heard these stories. But when these differences are caused by things like biology, the fact that maybe men would have less breast cancer than women, that's based on biology and genetics, right? And that is a true disparity, and disparities are just differences in these health outcomes. Well, health inequities are when these differences occur due to a lack of resources or not having adequate power in the political and social context.
Biology versus sociology.
Correct. And so when these things happen and people are at disadvantage, then we start to see these differences, or what we call these inequities in those particular situations. So if one neighborhood has more access to healthy food options, if one neighborhood has more access to parks and it's cleaner and better streets and better sidewalks and better lighting, they, as you can imagine, might have a better opportunity for health than folks who live in environments that do not have that. One of the ways that we talk about this is the social determinants of health. Maybe you've come across this term. And those are the non-medical variables that impact health. The definition came out in 2008. It was really, really long at that time and kind of convoluted. But the way that we talk about it simply is that those non-medical variables align with education and access and quality. As I think your last segment, you talked about education, the social and community context, the physical and built environment, access to health care, and also one's economic stability and their income. These things have a tremendous impact on people's health outcomes and the chance that they have for good health.
So I want to know about the decision to include people who are not living and working in New Orleans, but it looks like you're including people who come here for Saints games or other. What's the thinking behind that?
Remember, I just mentioned that these older definitions or other definitions, ways that we may have characterized the social determinants. Those earlier definitions talked about places that we live, we work, we worship, we play, we grow, we learn. And so if you are moving in and out of the community, then you have an impact on, you may work here, right? And so you may have a special interest in the health of New Orleans, right? You want the city to be healthy. These things have direct ties to our economic goals, right? When a city and a community is less healthy, big business don't necessarily want to come to that community, right? When communities are really healthy, and businesses understand that their healthcare costs will be lower, right? So people may have a vested interest in this. People, like you said, come here for the same games. Well, they want to come here to a safe place, to a clean place, right? To a place where there's good air, And so this is really about the people who live in New Orleans, but it also is about people who interact with New Orleans, may work here and come here for entertainment and have a good time.
Well, it seems that this type of work is normally done at the state level. I haven't found many municipalities that are doing this, like San Francisco, Honolulu, might be doing something different. And they tend to be West Coast. I'm not sure why that is. But in summary, why is New Orleans doing that here, not at the state level, but at the municipal level? And how did that come to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I said, as this movement has occurred over the last 20 to 25 years, more and more states and local communities will be involved in these if they want to be accredited. So the strategic reason, obviously, is that we want to make sure that we can be reaccredited. We completed one of these processes in 2013, one in 2019, and one we just are starting now, right, in 2026. This is one of the many things that we need to be doing right, to make sure that we're accredited. I can't explain why other communities aren't there yet, but again, this is an area that is growing in public health. And the other reason is that we care.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Flint Mitchell, Deputy Director for Community Engagement, Performance, and Equity. And one more time, how can people reach out to you and find out how they can be a part of the survey?
Absolutely. Please go to our website. It's nola.gov/health. You can follow through events on the website or on the homepage. You'll see the survey that we'd love for everyone to take. We need about 1,000 of these surveys completed. We're just at about 200 within this first 2 weeks or so, but the survey will be open until the end of May 31st. So we have ample opportunities. There are no excuses. If you want and care about the health of New Orleans, please go to our website, fill out the form, and there's also ways to contact us there.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you very much. It is 8:52 a.m. This is the Good Morning Show. We're getting into the last few minutes, Mason. I'm Will Sutton. This is Mason Harrison with me. Wrapping up the conversation with Dr. Flint Mitchell. After the break, we're going to be talking about a couple more things before we get out of here and make room for the front porch. If you want to get a call in, I know there were some people trying to call in before. What's that number, Mason?
You can reach us at 504-582-9422. That's 504-582-9422.
This is WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Attention, WBOK listeners. Are you a fan of the station and want to show your support and style? Well, we've got some exciting news for you. Introducing the official WBOK merchandise, the perfect way to wear your love for the station. Whether you're a longtime listener or a new fan, we've got something for everyone. Head to WBOK1230.com now and grab your WBOK gear before it's gone. When you buy WBOK merch, you're not just getting quality items, you're supporting the station you love.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month from the Community Scientist and Rise St. James. This month's focus is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, formed when fuels like oil, gas, wood, or trash are burned. These chemicals can enter the air we breathe and settle into our soil and water. Many PAHs are known carcinogens, adding to the health burdens faced by communities living near industry. Learn how to protect your health at risestjames.org.
This is The Law and Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton.
If you had $1 million, would you leave it to an 18-year-old?
Hopefully not, but that's exactly what can happen with a simple will. The money goes straight to your kids when they hit the legal age, no guardrails.
A trust lets you control when and how they receive their inheritance. You can set ages, milestones, or even make sure they finish school first.
Give them security, not a spending spree.
This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm Will Sutton here with Mason Harrison. Interesting and fascinating conversation with Dr. Flint Mitchell from the New Orleans Health and Human Services Department.
Yes.
So that's changed. Mayor Helena Moreno, more reach for that set of people. I didn't know the survey was going on. Did you know about this survey?
I did not, and I did not know that this apparently is a, what is it called when it's every 5 years? So it's not quadrennial.
No. Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever the next iteration is.
Right.
I didn't know that this was a 5-year survey. I had no idea.
And a part of accreditation.
Yeah. Which is a good thing. So
it is a good thing. And it's like, then that makes me wonder, if we're doing this, why aren't more municipalities doing this if it involves accreditation?
Well, it's probably something that you don't have to do, right? And it may be very well be something that now that you do it, it comes with more additional funding, perhaps maybe not under this administration. But, so, who knows? I mean, police departments are also accredited. Not every police department is accredited,
Well,
right? I mean, you can get accreditation for just about anything.
Yeah.
Journalism schools can be accredited,
Absolutely.
but not all journalism schools are accredited.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, so.
Actually, that's another thing that I do. I'm part of accrediting
journalism schools.
And
Okay.
Mass communication college and university programs, and we want them to be accredited. But when you have a minimum of standards that you have to meet, some programs say, "No, thank you."
Yeah.
And that's their choice.
And
They
there may
don't
also
have
be
to
a cost involved as well.
Well, there is a cost involved.
Right.
So
this could be an issue.
Yep. Well, great show today, talking about health and the merger of Frederick Douglass and John F. Kennedy High Schools, and a broader charter conversation with Ms. Benny, worth some further exploration, but not today. So we're going to get out of the way and make room for the front porch coming up next. And don't forget, after the front porch, we're going to have Tavis Smiley and Gerard Stevens on the reality check. So lots of good content, lots of good information being shared on WBOK throughout the day. This is WBOK 1230 AM with New Orleans. It's talking about
all day long.